Ozzie Albies was a perennial all-star for the Braves from 2018 to 2021. Unfortunately, last year he suffered from injuries as well as severe underperformance. Can he bounce back in 2023, or will he forever be Mr. Below 750? These questions answered and more on Bravescast. Yeah, so Ozzie Albies, he is the second baseman for the Atlanta Braves. He was part of the crop of young players that came up in the late 2010s. Helped us win a World Series in 2021, was a pivotal part of that team. But unfortunately, last year he experienced some injuries, as well as underperformance. I think, when you look back at his year 50 years from now, you could just say to yourself, oh, he was playing through an injury. He played 60 games. But no, he didn't. He was playing poorly, broke his foot, came back for a game, and then broke his pinky. So he never really played through any sort of injuries. He just wasn't good and then got hurt and then pretty much missed the rest of the year. So, Mitch, what are your first takeaways just really from the year Ozzie had last year?
It was a weird season because I didn't feel like he was doing anything differently than previous seasons. I mean, if you've watched Ozzie Albies at any point in time, you will see ground outs to second where he tops over the ball. You'll see pop outs. But you'll normally see a pretty good player, an above average hitter, good defense at second base, good base running. I did an article for the house that Hank built recently about bigger bases, and I was really surprised to find out that so in 2021 he stole 20 bases in 24 attempts. Excellent conversion rate. Last year, like Cole alluded to, he wasn't really going through an injury until he was knocked out completely by injury. He stole 3 bases in 8 attempts, which is below 50%. Not the best base running that we've come to expect. And he had what was it, a 94 WRC plus on the season. I was very confused by it. I didn't feel like he was doing anything differently. He still had a maddening approach from the left side, and we'll get to his switch hitting in a minute. But he's always had that, and he's always been, a league average hitter from the left side. And so I was just more surprised than anything. I don't take much out of that season. Like, I don't have many concerns going into 2023 from his 2022, but it was confusing, to say the least.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want to keep harping on the fact that he wasn't playing through an injury. He just wasn't good, and then got injured. His power was still relatively there. I was an idiot and forgot to pull up his pages before we started recording. So let me, before I start saying stuff that might not be true, let me fact check this. No, his power wasn't there either. So never mind.
He did have this weird stretch in April when Acuna wasn't back, and I think he hit 4 or 5 he was leading the team in April.
Yeah.
So it was there for a stretch. What did he only hit 8 homers on the season though, so it definitely didn't stay there.
Yeah, and I'm almost thinking this might be a Javier Baez situation. I'm not saying that his career was basically made by the juiced balls, but his style of play is he doesn't walk. I know he walked 54 times in 2019, but that's looking more like really an aberration than a indication of future value or future performance. So if something like BABIP goes down, if he runs into bad batted ball luck, if he goes through a power outage, if his strikeouts, he doesn't have anything to fall back on. He's basically down Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Is this what happened last year? Maybe. Because I mean, I don't want to say last year was a worst case scenario, but I'm hoping we look back at this year, uh, and by the end of his contract and say, that 2022 season, like what an awful year for Ozzie, but he bounced back. It's kind of funny that his walk rate's so low because his strikeout rate's actually like not bad either. I know it was high in 2020, but again, I just don't take that year seriously. Uh, but I mean, 17% in 2018, 16% in 2019. Like, uh, he's good at putting the bat to the ball. He swings really aggressively, but he's kind of a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Javi Baez light, like I said. He doesn't have a super violent swing. It's pretty fluid. He's able to get to most pitches. He's able to defend the zone, but it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back next year. I will say, just quick dumb analytics corner. 2021, before the Acuna injury, his OPS was 827. And then after, it was 766. And then we know 2022, the overlap between Acuna and Albies playing wasn't huge, and he had one of the worst years of his career. So maybe he needs just a little more Acuna in his life, a little bit of that Acuna boost.
Cole, did you play backyard baseball growing up?
Of course I did.
Those combinations of players that you would choose that would like up the player's stats. So like if you chose the Weber twins, they'd.
Oh wait, really? I did not know that. Wait, what backyard? I was playing like backyard baseball 03. Was this like a?
I was playing backyard baseball 01, 03. If you choose certain players, they will do like the Delvecchio siblings. You don't want to pick them because they hate each other. I think if you picked Ahmed and Amir Khan, one of them would do better and the other one wouldn't.
I don't remember that feature at all.
You're onto something. Kind of like a backyard baseball situation where if you have Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies healthy at the same time, you get a monster combo. But if one of them is off...
Think of the only year both of them were healthy. It was 2019. Yes, it was a rabbit ball season, but they were both really, really good.
Really good. So basically, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies are like backyard baseball players that you choose, and they like level up.
Yeah, so it's like that, or like a forced dyad. I don't know if we have any Rise of Skywalker fans in here. If you are, please escort yourself out, because that's the worst Star Wars movie. But
the worst,
the forced dyad, where it's like they're more powerful together. Maybe, and we know Albies and Acuna's relationship. They're goals. I mean, they're goals. They are what every friendship should strive for. I mean, seriously, if you want to have a laugh, if you want to have a chuckle, like just go look up some Albies Acuna content, and it will literally put a smile. It's like puppy videos. I
think we need to backtrack. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan.
Oh,
but are you saying the Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie?
By far, it's worse than Phantom
Menace. By far,
yeah, by far. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I hate that movie.
That's a hot take.
So speaking of hot takes, we're going to have some here just coming up in a second, but first we have to set the stage. There's some debate. Cedric Mullins opened up the floor when in 2021 he decided he was a switch hitter beforehand, wasn't having that much success in the major leagues, and he decided to basically ditch hitting right-handed. And only hit left from the left side, and had a career year and also a decent year last year as well. The same conversations are surrounding Ozzie Albies. Just for reference, his OPS versus right-handed pitching, so as a lefty, is 747. Serviceable. You like that production. Not going to wow you, but it's fine. His OPS against left-handed pitchers, against lefties, is 917. This is low-key MVP level production that we're getting. Obviously, that's not going to continue if he batted right-handed full-time. Obviously, he wouldn't have the platoon advantage against righties. but clearly something's working from the right side that's just not happening with the left side. Mitch, what are your
So
thoughts?
I've talked to you about this before, Cole, but I don't believe in switch hitting
Mm,
as an effective hitting strategy. When I played baseball in elementary and middle school, I was a switch hitter. I can remember countless hours on a hit away, right-handed swing, right-handed swing, right-handed swing, left-handed swing, left-handed swing. I switch hit for so long, I don't remember which side is my natural like hitting side. Like that's how deep into switch hitting I got. Um, but I don't actually think it's an effective hitting strategy. And I know we have the Mickey Mantles, the Eddie Murrays, the Chipper Joneses. Um, but generally, you're gonna find extreme splits for switch hitters. And I know there's the argument about platoon advantages, but Ozzie Albies, on his career, as Cole just pointed out, is a significantly worse left-handed hitter than right-handed hitter, and he's not like Mitchell here, who grew up switch hitting. Ozzie Albies didn't really switch hit until he was about to sign or had already signed a
yeah,
contract with the Braves.
yeah.
Do you know how? I'm gonna give you his splits. Remember that last season Ozzie Albies' WRC plus was 93. As a left-handed batter against righties, his WRC plus was 87. As a right-handed batter against lefties, it was a down year for him, but it was 91. Do you know how he ended up with a 93 WRC plus?
Ow.
He hit a homer as a right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah. He's done that
Is
too.
this a bad argument?
Yeah. He did that.
Yes,
He's done that
but he
a couple
did in his
times.
one at bat against a righty,
Yeah.
hitting right-handed. He did hit a home run. I think it was against Kevin Plawecki, a catcher.
Well, he did that a
But
couple times.
anecdotally,
He did that a couple times in 2021. He hit a home run against a pitcher for the Nationals, right-handed relief pitcher as a righty.
oh,
So
it was Ryan Harper. I
Ryan
think.
Harper, yeah, Bryce Harper's cousin. Um, he's like, and it's one of those things where, we'll talk about this a lot throughout the season, especially and on these player profiles, is that, the Braves' philosophy is basically a version of feast or famine. Basically find the pitch, go after one pitch and hit the fuck out of it. You have basically Austin Riley. That's how he became the hitter that he is today. That's pretty much the philosophy. Orlando Arcia, we'll talk about him in a later episode, where he became really just like a not good, like well below major league hitter with the Brewers to pretty decent hitter with the Braves. And you'll see his swing. It's violent, and he's got that one pitch, and if you throw it to him, like, he's going to hit it 400 feet. So my theory is, right-handed, that works for Ozzie. I mean, he's got such a long swing. I mean, it's such like a pretty swing path he has from the right side. Like optimal launch angles. I mean, he's just it works for him. Left-handed, it doesn't. Just the way his swing is, he ends up popping up a lot of pitches. He ends up, just popping up a lot of pitches. I know it's not going to happen, but I think just me as like a sentimental baseball fan, I love switch hitting. Like, even if it might not make the most sense, especially from like a training perspective, like having to basically train from two sides. It's like the two-way player light in a way. I just think it's one of the things that makes this game unique and special. And in Albies' case, I think from the left side, he should just be a pesky hitter. I think he should be one of those guys that, tries to basically be a Steven Kwan type in a way. And he's got it. I mean, we know that, his strikeout rates are low. I didn't look at his zone contact percentages, but, he's able to get the bat through the zone and cover a lot of the plate from the left side. It's just he's not doing anything special with the contact that he's making. And so if he can just find a way to become, pesky, like a Tony Gwynn type, like, 300 average, 400 slugging, like, I would much prefer that kind of hitter from the left side. But obviously the Braves aren't really going to ditch their current philosophy for that. So maybe he does that with another team, if he signs with another team. But that. Those are my thoughts.
I think this would probably never happen. But maybe the best philosophy for Ozzy would be to be a selective switch hitter. And so in situations where, you know, a righty is a better option, he hits right-handed. In situations, even if it's against a right-handed pitcher, but in situations where like left-handed might, whatever the analytics show, maybe it's like a ground ball pitcher, and
Well,
he can sneak one through the side.
yeah, I mean
Maybe it's left-handed.
the at bat against the guy in the Nationals. I mean, basically, they said it was so he could cover his breaking stuff. He just felt like he had a better grasp of it from the right side. So I very much agree with you. I think I would be. I don't know what the training looks like. I don't know if that's feasible. But I think it would be beneficial because, I mean, we all believe in Ozzy. I mean, he's one of the hardest working dudes in the game. I mean, he is like.
I would argue he's one of the team leaders on the team.
Yeah. He was really showing that role, especially in the early parts of 2022. I know there was that series against the Rangers where he basically chewed out Marcell Ozuna on the base paths because he was basically sleeping and cost them a run. So especially with Dansby gone, he's going to be him, TDA, and really I think Ronald too. I mean he's really maturing as a player. It's going to be fun. It's going to be they're going to lead a fun generation of Braves players. But I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool to see him, switch to the right side if the situation calls for it.
So it sounds, in a way, we've been a little down on Ozzy. We're trying to get him to abandon a thing that got him to the majors. We're wondering if this 2022 is real. We're questioning his plate approaches. But at the end of the day, he comes up in a lot of overrated discussions amongst second basemen. And I don't know about you, Cole, but I vehemently disagree with those overrated assessments.
You're going to hate me. Beginning of last year, I remember thinking he was overrated. Because he's one of those guys, baseball's it's 162 games. You're not going to be able to see every play every season of every team. It's just not going to happen. But it always felt like watching him play every day, he never felt like a top player in the game, to me at least. Compared to, like a Jose Altuve or, recently what's become of Andres Jimenez. But I think now that I have some perspective on it, and I look at what he did for us in 2018 and 2019, I think he's very properly rated. People were getting mad because I think MLB.com ranked him, I think 6th overall for second baseman, not for all players, obviously. I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, he's provides some really great defense, and we haven't even talked about the defensive aspect of it. We've alluded to this many a times, but there are going to be some rule changes coming this year. Another one of those rule changes is basically the banning of the shift. And part of the rules is that when the pitcher starts his windup, all infielders have to have their feet touching the dirt, 2 fielders on each side. In previous years, teams were basically able to stash a second baseman or just any player at second base because whenever there was a hitter hitting from the left side who was more likely to make hard contact to the right, they could just throw somebody, put him in shallow outfield, and you had guys like Mike Moustakas playing second base, and it was a very undervalued position. But now with these new rules, you're going to see teams prioritizing defensive first, second baseman, and Ozzie Albies is one of the better gloves in the game at the position. So great defense. He provides you speed. I know last year was a down year for him, but 2021, 20 stolen bases and 24 total attempts, and like he hit 30 homers in 2021. I mean, he's going to be a 40 doubles guy. Like, I mean, every full season he's played, he's hit 40 doubles. I mean, he's put up at least a 750 OPS until last year. He's provided that consistency. So I think he's very properly rated now. But I used to think he was overrated.
Yeah, I think an unpopular Braves opinion is I don't know if he's better than Jeff O'Neill of the Mets. But I do think Jeff O'Neill is a very, very underrated
Jeff McNeil.
Second baseman.
Jeff McNeil.
Jeff McNeil.
Yeah. O'Neill's it's a name that I'm familiar with.
Is it?
I wanted my name to be O'Neill for a very long time. I'm not going to reveal why just because I don't want people looking into it. But, yeah, Jeff McNeil. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil. But I think with Ozzie, it's hard to, like, look at one stat. He doesn't have the one eye-popping stat.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, generally he'll be a little above league average hitter. And if you're, like, if you had a first baseman with his WRC plus, you'd be kind of horrified. You'd have an Eric Hosmer. But then he provides great defense. In his short season last year, he was still 4 outs above average, which is really good for a second baseman, really good for any fielder, really. He's usually really good on the base paths. I think last year's 3 for 8 stolen bases was an anomaly. And of course, base running isn't just about stealing bases. He's really good about, taking the extra base. And we wish that walk rate was a little higher, but overall, he's a well-rounded player.
A stat that, maybe you shouldn't look at, but I mean, 100 runs each of his 3 full seasons that he's played. We also, I didn't even realize this, 5 triples. He hit 5 triples in 244 plate appearances in 2017, which is insane. But like, yeah, like you said, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, he does a lot of things really well. Like, yeah, he's not going to be Brandon Lau, where he's hitting 35 homers in the season from second base. He's not going to be Jose Altuve, winning the batting title, putting up MVP numbers. But, especially a position like second base, which, like, has, I don't want to say a talent shortage, but a drop-off once you get...
I am quite surprised by how few good second basemen there are.
Yeah, like, once you get past the top 10, like, he's a guy that, you pencil him in second base, like, that's a formula for a winning squad.
I'm pretty sure the Mariners, a playoff team, started Abraham Toro way too many times at second base. So,
damn.
The position is slim picking sometimes, but I do think Ozzie Albies is properly rated.
Like, yeah, he's not Joe Morgan, but he's really good for, like, what he needs to be for this team.
And we haven't even talked, and I don't want to get too far into this because we're,
this is becoming a longer episode, yeah.
But Ozzie Albies' contract is a massive steal.
Yeah.
He could be a bench player, and he would still be worth his contract. So we're grateful for that every day. But also, Braves, you should, like, I don't know, give him a bonus or something.
Yeah, just like a good faith bonus. Also, yeah, anybody who said that he signed it because he, like, didn't understand it was, like, a fucking asshole and possibly racist. So, like, if you
Ozzie is truly one of the, like, the smarter players on the field. Like, he knew what he was signing.
Yeah.
He's been on record about, like, wanting the financial security. Could he have gotten a $100 million contract? Probably. But the end of the day is that he wanted guaranteed money. He got $35 million guaranteed.
He has a family back home that he wanted to basically guarantee a future for. Being an athlete is very uncertain. You could get hit in the face with a baseball and your career is over.
Right.
So, yeah, just any
injury could have seen Ozzie Albies make a grand total of 1.8 million, maybe, if he never got to arbitration, which happens to players all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And instead he gets 35, 36 million dollars in his career.
Yeah.
At least he will be a
Again,
free agent in his 20s.
again, it is a steal. We do know that. Like,
It's
don't
a
take this
steal.
out of don't take this out of context. Like, this is a steal. Like you said, he could be a bench player and he'll still be worth the money. But he he had his reasons for signing it. This could be a further discussion about taking advantage of certain players' economic situations. We can have those discussions later. But like, he knew what he was doing when he signed it. He wasn't like
Yeah.
tricked or anything.
So, over under.
I have 40 doubles.
40 doubles.
Yeah, 40 doubles because he's hit 40 doubles like each of his full seasons. But again, he got injured last year. He seems pretty healthy in camp. I think he's going to be an easy over. I was thinking about putting 45, just making it more interesting, but I think
Until
he'll be in that
I
40,
just pulled up
45
his
range.
stats, I would have said under. I had no idea that
He's a
he has hit
doubles.
40 doubles 3 times.
Yeah, all of his all of his full seasons, 40 doubles.
I still think I'm gonna go under. 40 doubles is a lot. But I will probably be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong.
I mean, if
about
it's
that.
40, it's a push. Like it's
Yeah.
so it could literally just be 40 doubles because
I'll probably be wrong. I think it's gonna be under barely, but yeah, I don't care about being wrong about this. This is a shock to me that he had 40 double seasons.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's my ignorance as a fan.
Again, that's the thing. That's the underrated discussion. You don't see that. People aren't looking. They're just like, well, he's only hit 24 homers in 2018. It's like, no, like there's a lot of things you don't see that he's doing for our team. So anyway, the song I have is his name is Ozzie Albies, and because I lack all creativity, first thing I think of is Ozzy Osbourne, former singer for Black Sabbath, also a Time Lord. He is a freaking demigod. Dude should have died in 1994, and he's still alive. Barely, but he's still alive. Doing the song "Flying High" again because I hope Ozzy's gonna be able to fly high again after a down year in 2022. Any
I'm a
last
believer.
thoughts?
You gotta follow us on social media. I'm at Minsub on Twitter. At Minsub4. Cole is at No More Fielders.
I'm the guy who makes music videos and kind of look like baseball videos sometimes too.
If you disagree with anything that we've said today, please add us on Twitter. But if you do, you have to follow us. Those are the rules. I don't make them.
I only respond to people who directly insult my mother and also know my address. Anyway.
Do you want me
Yeah. Anyway,
to dox you right now?
This was the Ozzie Albies episode. I'm gonna go ahead and end it for